what's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV here for an emergency stream for you guys. We got Sai, Ashmatic, Sim, Sean. You're on mute, Sean. Look,
I wasn't saying anything. I was just doing this.
The moment you've all been waiting for is here. The day has come. Antonio Conte has been sacked from Tottenham Hotspur. Let me just read out the club statement. That's come at bloody 10:30 on a Sunday night. I don't know what they're doing. Like, we've been waiting.
It's supposed to be 10:30 a.m. tomorrow, Ben. They got the time wrong.
Oh right, yeah.
He scheduled the tweet, but they scheduled it for the wrong day by accident. I think that's what happened.
But the statement reads: we can announce that head coach Antonio Conte has left the club by mutual consent. We achieved Champions League qualification in Antonio's first season at the club. We thank Antonio for his contribution and wish him well for the future. Christian Stellini will take acting head coach for the remainder of the season, along with Ryan Mason as assistant head coach. Daniel Levy says we have 10 Premier League games remaining, and we have a fight on our hands for Champions League place. We all need to pull together. Everyone has to step up to ensure the highest possible finish for our club and amazing loyal supporters. What about a trophy for the amazing loyal supporters, please? But what do we make of this, guys? Sim?
I have to say, I think as just as a starting point, the fact it says mutual consent, I guess that hopefully takes away any case for a lawsuit or anything against Tottenham. I think that's probably the fact that he's agreed with it. Surely that goes under the that goes by the side now. But the most surprising thing for me is that Stellini's staying on as manager, which is absolutely shocking to me. Stellini was his assistant at Juventus back in 2012. He was assistant at Inter Milan over the last 2 seasons in Italy. Obviously, he's been his assistant at Tottenham. And you would think that if Stellini 100% agreed with everything that Conte had said in the press conference and how he'd gone about things, then he would have walked with his manager. You know, they're very much. They've been a partnership for a very long time. Stellini's worked under Conte long term. Sorry?
You saying he's stabbing him in the back?
I don't know. Maybe.
It's money.
I like it.
Money.
I think it's very strange. Why is Stellini staying on?
He's getting paid. He's getting paid a bonus. If Tottenham finish top 4, he's going to make a cheeky meal on his way out. By the end of the season, he's going to be gone back with Conte. But
is there no loyalty to his number one?
Yeah, no.
He doesn't deserve no loyalty, man. That man doesn't deserve nothing.
Yeah, but this is a guy. Stellini is a guy who's been with Conte for a very, very long time. So you would think either, I don't know, maybe something's happened, but in that relationship, that means Stellini feels comfortable staying on in that position when Conte leaves. I just think I think that's quite surprising. But what do we think about Stellini staying on and it not being Mason? Because you would think with Stellini staying on as well, like, is there going to be a massive change to how we play or anything like that, or is it just going to be the same?
For me, I think they're not putting respect on Mason's name, to be fair. If I was Mason, I'd have been thinking, right, I'm going to be taking over training. And then all of a sudden, the second right-hand man comes along in Stellini. And I know, like, obviously he's been there before. They've worked together. But I would have thought, like, it's my job. I'm ready to take it up. Do you know what I mean? That's my opinion.
He needs a hand to hold, right?
Wow.
Like, he does, right? How old is Mason?
He's been manager before. He's been manager before that, hasn't he?
He had an assistant then that was probably doing something to that, like similar sort of kind of thing, right? It's not a big deal. Like, I don't think we shouldn't read into this too much. I think Stellini's been asked to steady the ship. Right? There was a period for four games or whatever back in January over Christmas, whatever, when Stellini was in charge. And he's been asked to steady the ship and have some sort of continuation rather than having to go out and make a rash decision right now, because whatever decision they make over the next manager needs to be the right one. There's obviously conversations happening around Paratici as well. And so for right now, until the end of the season, the best case scenario is to not make any rash decisions around the manager or anything else. Give it to Mason, but Mason needs a bit of a steady hand that maybe they've got a good relationship with Stellini. And then those two figure it out. And if maybe Stellini gets paid a little bumper packet on his way out at the end of the season, but to me, it makes sense. But I don't think we should overthink it. It's the best course of action to get top
but
four without having to spend a lot of money on a new player right now, a new manager right now.
It's not about it being the right decision. It's just about, isn't it strange that Conte has very much a tight-knit team that he brings with in all of his jobs, and we know Stellini is very much a big part of that team. And the fact that Conte has said what he said outwardly about the culture of the club and all his complaints about the players and everything. He's obviously his job was untenable pretty much after that press conference. We all know that. But you would have thought if Stellini was on Conte's side with what he said, he would have walked with Conte after everything that happened. So the fact that he's staying, and even the fact that he's staying on after being Conte's very loyal assistant for many years, it's just, I don't know, it's very strange. And there has to be a reason for that.
It is strange, but the fact of the matter is, it's just like the way the club look at it. It makes so much sense, but from the club, because we've been playing this football for the last year and a half. Stellini knows exactly what it is. If Mason was to come in, it's a completely, back to the drawing board, 4 at the back, going back to what he played when he was last manager. So I think Stellini coming in, steadying the ship from now until the end of the season was the only real option if you're not going to bring someone in.
I'm not saying it's right or wrong from the club point of view. I'm just saying from Conte and Stellini's relationship.
Yeah, it is strange. It is strange.
I'm not sure it comes across as like dishonest. It depends on the conversations that are going behind the scenes. Maybe part of the negotiations when it comes to mutual consent is, hey, listen, we'll give you a cheeky 5 million, right? You're arguing for 15. You're owed 2.5, 3.5. We give you 5. We'll give it's money. Money's everything at the end of the day. We'll give you 5, Conte, to drop any other kind of problems in the future. Can we borrow your guy to the end of the season? You're not going to go into a new job until next season anyway. Let me pay him additional bit of money. We need him to help. He and Brian have got a good relationship. To me, it's just like it makes the most sense, like Ben says.
But do you think Stellini was on Conte's side with what he said on last week or 2 weeks ago? Yeah, go on, Ash.
Yeah. I'm thinking, this is a chance for Stellini to be his old man. No matter what happens, at the end of the day, when the season's over, Stellini, I think, should go into management after this. I don't think he should hold Conte's hand anymore. There's a couple of calls that he had against Man City between him and Mason.
We're hearing those were Mason's calls, no?
Yeah, well, that's what I thought. That's why I brought up the original. Like Mason was thinking, am I not good enough? Am I not the main man? Because he made a big call. So that's the reason why I brought that one up. But Sean's right to say, like, they may have a good working relationship. But I just think that, Stellini has a little bit more experience. He was a manager at Genoa under 19s, and he was a manager at Alistair in his time. So I think because Mason's got less experience, I think they've gone and looked at someone like Stellini and said, "Yeah, I think
it's what Sean said, Ash, as well. Like continuity. It's like, no disrespect to Ryan at all, because I think he's going to be a good manager or great manager as time goes by. But for me, like if right now with these many games to go, you just put Ryan in there for those 10. The circus that we're already at, people are just going to laugh at it even more, to be like, oh yeah, we just got rid of the entire infrastructure of the back room and everything, and we're shoving Ryan in again. It just doesn't look. It's not professional as it is standing right now, but I think it looks even more crazy when you do that. And as I said, no disrespect to Ryan, but I think you do have to have more of a prominent senior figure to try and see this season out. And I can't imagine them or any point they would have brought in someone temporarily for a few months like United would do or something like that. It's an absolute joke. Like, this whole thing is an absolute joke. I just can't.
Yeah.
I wanted to go to bed, but now I've been
we're sitting here, right? We're sitting here now. We've burnt Conte, and like, cast your mind back 18 months. We were going,
this is Conte, Ben. Conte burnt us.
All right, whatever you want to say. Yeah, Mourinho's come here, Conte's come here, Poch, all these managers have come here, and we haven't won anything. How are we looking back at Conte's tenure at Spurs?
Oh man, I think it's
overpriced and bang average.
I think it's a reflection on Spurs, to be fair, because again, we've got an elite manager that's won elsewhere, and they've come to Tottenham, and it's just like a bad reflection on us. Do we have the right environment for players and managers to succeed? Is this the right culture? Is it the right do we have the foundation? Do we have the right tools to help us to get to another level? Because when they are at other clubs, is it too much of a drop off? Do you know what I mean? When it comes that, so it almost looks really bad on Spurs, in my opinion.
Tottenham is the lowest ebb that any of these world-class managers that we've employed. It's the lowest ebb that any of these guys have ever got to after hitting their peaks. And I think that the gap between where Tottenham are and where we're supposed to be getting with the expectations of fans is so big. I would love to see Conte or Jose go to a team that is of the equivalent level. Like, I don't think Roma's the equivalent level to what I'm about to suggest, but go somewhere deeper and then create success. This argument that Tottenham turns elite managers into failures, I think is well out of line, because I think that the level that Tottenham we can attract the manager of this level, but in reality, we're not at that level. But none of those managers ever go anywhere lower and do any better than us. So I don't think.
Hear me out. The narrative at the moment is people leave Spurs and they win trophies. They win stuff.
No, but that's the point I'm trying to make. They don't like that. They leave Spurs and go to either better clubs or clubs that have easier routes. Jose Mourinho is the example you're pointing to. Jose Mourinho, the only trophy he won for Roma was like beating Farmers League teams, and you're going to compare him to Conte, who screwed up in that league. He did the same thing. So I don't think it's reasonable to sit there and think that the only other manager that's left Tottenham and gone on to win something was Pochettino, who went to PSG, and like winning something for PSG is like me scratching my ass in the morning. It's an inevitability.
And I agree to some extent, but you look at your Capues, that we couldn't get a tune out of. You look at your Foyfs, we couldn't get a tune out of. You know what I'm saying? They're going there winning cups, and we're scratching our heads like, raw. You were at Tottenham. What's going on? You got Mbele now.
The toughest league in the world, and we're in this weird bracket of not quite making it better than the also rans, but not quite the main event.
But Sean, what were you expecting out of Conte anyway? Like, he got us top four. We're still in the top four. Wasn't that his remit?
Yeah. So when I said I thought he was overpriced and bang average, I thought he was overpriced and did. Sorry, I shouldn't have said bang average. Overpriced and he hit the ceiling. Tottenham have got a glass ceiling. And I just don't think he was never going to change it. The majority of Tottenham fans are desperate for a trophy. The only trophy that Conte's got history of really doing well in is league titles, because that's where his emphasis is. And Tottenham are going up against absolute Goliaths, and it's a different kettle of fish. So for me, he did everything he was supposed to, everything that he could have done, unless he focused on something which he never usually does, which is the cups. And on that level, he failed miserably.
If Conte's gone now, he's done. It's over, yeah? But he left us at fourth. He got us fourth. Anything past this now. So imagine we don't get fourth now. It's going to look nuts.
We're not going to get fourth.
No,
we're not going to get fourth.
Once he did that press conference, Ash, there's no turning back. We've seen it with Levy in the past, haven't we?
Like, he pretty much lit a match and poured some gasoline on it. And then
but he said everything that every fan thinks. It's amazing.
No, what he said might have been right. It's not what he said that was wrong. It's where he said it, when he said it, why he said it, and how he said it. All of those things there's a massive issue with. What he actually said, bang on. Everything else, the five questions, everything else, the other four, completely out of line, had to go.
Yeah. And I think he alienated the players way too much, obviously, with what he said. I think the one wrong thing I think he did say, in terms of which I didn't agree with, having a think about it, was he called a lot of the players selfish. And I think that, questioning, like, you can question their mentality and you can question whether they're bottlers or not, and that's all fair game. But when you're questioning their professionalism, whether that they're selfish and that they're not like, I don't look at this group of players like this is a group of players, by the way, that Conte himself has said is like a real is a very like
best group of players he's ever coached.
He said that before, so I think for him to say that it's selfish, I didn't agree with that. I didn't agree with him saying that, to be honest. And I think that alienated them too much. But I think what he said about everything else he said in that press conference about them not wanting to play under pressure, not wanting the stress of the important games, all those kind of things, I completely agree with 100%.
But he wasn't saying it in that environment to galvanize a response. He was saying it in that environment to get the sack. And congratulations, mate. Congratulations, you got it. Well done. And I hope that Daniel Levy wasn't bent over a table and had to pay out a lot of money for it, because he didn't earn the first 25 million, in my opinion.
Sean, the fact they've come to a mutual agreement, does that tell? What do you reckon that means? That means that they've paid out the remainder of his contract. And
undisclosed, right?
What do you reckon? But what do you reckon? What would you speculate if you're?
I would imagine he got at least the rest of his contract, and then he got some portion of whatever the lawyers had figured out would he have been entitled to had they fired him. So I would imagine that there was some mutual consent towards maybe 30%. So if he was owed 3 million more, he probably got another 5. He probably takes an 8 million quid. We won't know unless it's disclosed, but I doubt we'll know. And it won't be it will be hidden in the accounts in some like, division that's not really going to be that easy to pick apart. So yeah, he's got some slice of the pie that he was probably looking for. I'd imagine that Stellini, as I said at the start, I'd imagine the fact that Stellini's still there, I'd imagine he's getting, his compensation was probably tied to, as would have been the entire team's, would have been tied to his leaving the club. But I reckon Stellini's been given some bumper pay and then also some incentive to keep him motivated, i.e. you get us to top 4 and we'll give you an extra million or something, That would make sense. That would be the way that I would do it if I was Daniel Levy. If you're not sure whether or not Conte is morning, hi Marlon. If you're trying to keep Stellini to give Ryan Mason the support he needs, but you're worried about whether Stellini's got the motivation to help the team rather than be one eye out of the door, you'd pay Stellini an option, right? If you get us the top 4, bro, then we'll give you £1 million.
If we get the top 4, Sean, is he going to stay for the next season?
No, surely the plan for next season is Poch or Nagelsmann, whoever doesn't go Real Madrid.
But we know Daniel Levy is likes the cheap options, though, doesn't he?
No, not really. He doesn't like cheap options when it comes to managers. He pays managers a lot.
No, he pays top dollar for the manager, to be fair, because a lot of the time he thinks about.
Poch got a bumper contract.
Yeah.
Stellini will have like a million quid top 4 bonus or something, 2 million quid bonus, whatever. And I'm happy to pay that if it keeps him motivated and it gets the job done. Because you know what? If you finish top 4, you get 60 million quid in your transfer budget more than you would do if you don't. So I'm all for that. I'm glad Conte's out the door. Happy for Stellini to stay. Happy for Ryan Mason to get some more experience.
You imagine a manager bounce off the back of the the Stellini and...
Stellini's only been out of the hot seat for a couple of games.
Yeah, I'm not sure that's not a new bounce environment, is it?
Matt Law...
But I mean, like a reaction out of them.
Go on, Sim.
Matt Law has just tweeted saying it's understood that Conte gave Stellini his blessing to continue on as manager to help Spurs achieve Champions League football. So if anyone's thinking of like a backstab or anything, well, that's the message coming out there. I'm just reading out now.
I'm
sure there's going to be news breaking all the time.
It's a good opportunity for Stellini, so I'm sure Conte would let him do it with his blessing, or give him his blessing to do it. I don't think Conte wishes bad on the club or anything like that. So I think it makes sense, like I said. But Marlon, what are you feeling?
I'm a bit gutted, but at the same time I can understand. I'm like, why they wait till now, Sunday night, to tell us? But that's typical Spurs. But I think top 4 is gone for us. I completely think it's gone. I don't think Stellini and Mason are up to the challenge. I think it's quite a wrong move, but it is what it is.
But did we really have a choice after what Conte said? I mean, he had to go after that.
But then what's happening? Where any of the players go? They'll still be here. They'll still have the wrong mentality.
Transfer window shut, mate.
I know, but that's what I'm saying. It doesn't matter who's going to be here. Like they literally got another manager out the door.
That's it, Marlon. Yeah.
Last time
I completely agree. Yeah. I completely agree. But our best chances of getting top 4 was for Conte to go out the door, in my opinion.
I kind of disagree. I kind of think if Mason's coming in, he did turn over trees last time. What difference is it going to make? Like, he's going to be going up against Klopp and Ten Hag as well in the next couple of weeks. It's going to be a tough time. It's going to be a tough time.
I don't think we are going to get top 4, but I do think we have more chance of getting top 4 without Conte after he's alienated the players than with Stellini and Mason.
I think the argument is that obviously Stellini and Mason. Stellini's first opportunity was with Marseille, right? When Conte was in the stands, and we saw what Stellini was capable of, and he got he got us through to that next round, man. It was an impressive performance. It was
All right, but let's not forget Stellini was in charge when we played Sheffield United as well. So
Yeah, don't forget
no,
that.
yeah, I'm gonna get to that.
Yeah,
I'm saying,
but
like,
Conte was fully focused in that game. That was all Conte, Sheffield United.
but I'm just saying, like, we got good performances from Chelsea as well. We got a good performance out of, a positive result, shall I say, and a positive result against West Ham. So that's the reason why I was asking, do you reckon the players will respond to Stellini against Everton away at Goodison under the lights on a Monday night? It's a valid.
Well, let me ask you this: if we're hearing from these players that they find Conte's training methods repetitive and boring and all these things, is that going to change under Stellini? All of a sudden, we're going to get innovative training methods. So why would they respond?
The reason why I say it is because maybe they got different ideas. You saw what happened with Man City, and they made Eric Dyer play a bit more aggressive, a bit more front-footed, made him go man to man. That might have been a tactic they might have wanted to change and try it, and they might have different ideas coming to training. Now it's their time to kind of shine. They might have a different approach. I do agree with you, Sim, but I'm just trying to flip it on
mate, the only way we were going to get a new manager bounce that could actually result in a top four was with a new manager. Like, I don't think I'd be astonished, and I'm happy to be wrong, clearly, but I'll be astonished if there's a reaction that gets us to top four, given the environment we're in.
Do you think he'll play out the same? Like, no players will get any opportunities. It'll be like more or less the same as before, business as usual. Like,
100%,
just
100%.
Just chill. Because
you might see Danjuma get some more minutes. I don't know, because I think a lot of that stuff was down to stubbornness on his.
You'll get
Conte's
15
part.
minutes instead of 5.
Yeah.
This is what I'm asking, because it was like,
you ask any girl though, like what's the difference between 5 minutes and 15, and it counts.
Well, you never know. Could make a difference. 15 minutes could be a little bit of difference. Could be a bit more.
Yeah.
You don't know. And it's against Everton as well. Everton, where he was meant to go. Who knows? Danjuma might get a little break there. I'm
looking at our next 5 games, and I mean, I can see one win. One win. Everton away, Brighton at home, Bournemouth at home, Newcastle away, Man U at home, Liverpool away.
Yeah, it's a wrap. It's a wrap.
Can I ask you guys a question though? Would you have, if it meant paying like 25 million quid now, right, and then that money being taken out of whatever budget's available, and that budget obviously is significantly influenced by where you finish anyway, would you have paid that money to get someone? Not to suggest that it means that not getting him now means you can't get him in the summer, but a Nagelsmann or a Poch, if it meant that they could come through the door tonight rather than Mason and Stellini, so. would you pay 25 million for it? No,
I don't think I would. I think, look, there could be a chance of getting top 4 if one of these guys come in, but I'd rather they just come in, start of the season, have their own plans, have as much money as they can to build that team, and then we go from there. I think maybe even a year out of Europe might even do us good, but we will be in Europa League. So
do you not
going to be in
one
of the European competitions? Yeah, for sure.
Like Sean being the finance guy, the timing of this from the season ticket kind of thing is a bit mental as well, isn't it? Like the renewals are coming up again, and this.
Well, the been out already, haven't they, or not? I'm not sure.
I'm not sure, but either way, it's like, what on earth are you doing? Like, you've already got a load of people on kind of limbo as to like, am I renewing or not? Because I'm getting a bit tired of the last few years now of how this club's being run.
I think they'll always find 60,000. They've still got 70,000. I'm still like 70,000 or something on the wait list, and I still get offered season tickets at the end of the summer. So like, I'm pretty sure that they'll be, whoever gives them up they'll still be. Daniel Levy's got that stuff figured out. Even after the debacle, I think it was at Wolves, the game before Nottingham Forest. I forget which game it was. There was like on that Thursday. Oh, sorry, it was after the Milan lost in the Champions League. On Thursday morning, there was like 6,000 seats available on the ticket exchange. By Friday evening, they were all gone.
Yeah.
So even the season ticket holders that put their tickets up for sale, they were all snapped up by somebody else. And Daniel Levy actually made money out of it because he makes money out of the season ticket, and then he takes 10% of the resale of the ticket anyway. So he actually makes more money out of people that are season ticket holders listing their tickets on the exchange. He takes a few quid for them as well.
I got offered
he's a winner either way.
Tickets at the beginning of this season, around me. That's because people are just getting, I don't know why are they getting fed up or whatever. But I just think like when we had the fiasco of Nuno going, and that created a bit of a hysteria around the club, and then obviously we got Conte in to pave over the cracks again, leading back to the guy's points about, you know, some of these players do need blaming. A lot of them have been there for a long time and shafted many managers now, whether you call them elite or not. I think like there's a lot of fans out there, and I'm probably more pointing towards the Enoch out group, to be honest, but there's more of this conversation of like, you know, fans are getting, I'm not going to like swear or anything, but like they're getting fed up, mate, of this continuous circus. And I'm just baffled, like right now, to be like, you're a month away from season ticket renewals and stuff like this, and you've done this again. And I know Conte's to blame in this instance, in the sense like, yeah, the way he's come out, but
he was the catalyst for it. But
Yeah,
in my
of course.
opinion, Daniel Levy was responsible for the entire environment.
He's responsible for everything.
Here's a question: who's more impatient? Was it the fans or was it Conte? Who ended up being more impatient?
Oh wow, that's a really good question.
Probably us. Let's be honest. We've given, like, we started to quit on Mourinho after 14 months. We quit on Conte after 14 months. Like, we just about gave Poch a year. It was only because he got the full season. But I think we're to blame for a lot of it. Like, let's be honest. All of us kind of got to a point with Conte where, the football shit is this, that, and the other. But we gave him no time. We've not given him anything. We got the 6-7 months out of him at the beginning of last season. He got us top 4. And then I think all our expectation was, we're going to be fighting for the title this year. But Arsenal kind of messed everything up.
Marlon, it fell apart because of I think the football was a problem, right? If you've got a manager that's playing good football, and I made this point earlier on Sabba's channel. Like when people talk about the lack of trophies, the Enoch out fans, whatever, that say the trophies, they're the biggest problems. When I asked them, like, in my lifetime, or at least in Levy's lifetime at Tottenham, when did you feel most settled, most happy, most excited? And they mention in no specific order 3 managers, right? Pochettino, Martin Jol, or Harry Redknapp.
But there's a difference.
None of those managers won a trophy, nobody mentions Juan de Ramos Ball. Nobody mentions George Graham.
But there's a difference to what you just said. All those managers have lasted more than like 18 months,
right?
And that's
because they played good football. Yeah, I think
Ramos,
that's the first reason why people are getting fed up with Tottenham.
Ramos wasn't really given a chance. Look, he won something, and then he had to sell Berbatov and Key. He was doomed to foul. So that's why no one ever talked about Ramos.
And that's fine, but the football that he played at the time was awful. The reason why I think fans are more likely to get...
It wasn't that bad. I think because if you look at Poch's first year, the football was terrible too. Poch's last 18 months, the football was terrible as well. And everyone just forgets about that. They only remember the middle, right?
But Redknapp and Martin Jol was exciting football. And the point I'm making more than anything else is I think that the initial catalyst of why people lose patience is the lack of good football. I think that is the first and foremost. To a lot of fans, it's I want to see. For me personally, the bedrock should be good football, and everything should build from there. Conte doesn't deliver that. Second of all, he may have been given more time if it hadn't been for the incredibly poor March, like the start of March. We're still in the same month, but from the 1st of March until now, we've gone out of all competitions, and the first competition against Nottingham Forest might have been forgiven had the FA Cup and the Champions League gone a little bit differently, because ultimately in all of those competitions all season, we haven't played and faced a tough team. And the variance that has taken place in all of those competitions meant that there was never an easier season for us to go deep in any competition than this one. We haven't played a tough team in any of them. Even the 3 teams in our group stage they're not really Champions League teams, right? So if Conte can't do that, and everyone who's like Enoch out is referencing the lack of trophies, and yet we give up the best luck of the draw ever in really poor circumstances, I think that's a catalyst there for like a snowball effect of people giving up very quickly.
I completely agree with you. Like the cup competitions this year are a massive, massive blot against Conte and against his tenure here. 100%. The route that we could have had, and our name should be in the semi-final or the final this year of the FA Cup, no doubt about it. But I mean, in terms of style of play, I mean, I think we all enjoyed the football the last 10 games of last season. We were scoring goals. We were attacking well. We were on the front foot. We were playing really good football. fast forward to this season, yeah, the football hasn't been great. And from the start of the season, I'm just like, all right, it's going to click soon. It's going to click soon. It never seemed to click. But I think first of all, Spurs fans gave up on Conte before Conte gave up on Spurs, in my opinion. And I think the fans were a bit harsh on Conte, especially when you're looking at all the different circumstances that's gone into Spurs this season. You know, the fitness coach Ventroni passing away, 2 of his friends passing away, all the injuries as well that we've had this season. We've had one game this year where we've had a fit squad, as well as we should have been looking. I know we didn't talk about it in the summer, but we should have been looking to upgrade Hugo Lloris. We should have upgraded Eric Dyer. And how many points, just them 2, have we given away?
At least 10, 12, 15 points. Yeah.
Like if we had a good goalkeeper this season and we had a good replacement for Eric Dyer, where would we be in the league this season? And would everyone be complaining?
Whose fault is that then?
Huh?
Whose fault is that?
Well, that's the players' fault. That's those players' fault, right? Like you can't manage individual mistakes. And Hugo Lloris has made 4 or 5 mistakes that led to goals. I can remember West Ham was the initial catalyst, and then he went on a run of doing every other game for like 6 on the bounce. And I think Eric Dyer was also personally responsible for probably 5 or 6 goals that we conceded. So I would 100% take that point on board, Ben.
If you bring in another manager,
how many points do you reckon it is? Like
maybe 9 points, 12, 10, 11 points, something around there. Yeah.
Add 9 points onto our tally now. Where are we?
Yeah,
third, probably third.
Yeah, but closer. We're probably in a title conversation, like Man United are, kind of thing. We're like, like lagging favourites. Yeah.
And that's probably why because that's where Conte, and that's what really keeps Conte motivated, being in those sort of positions. And obviously he gets frustrated, and we all know he gets frustrated when he's not challenging for league titles and things like that. So he ultimately will get frustrated with the elements holding him back from not doing that when it doesn't happen. And that's essentially what came to the boil pretty much in his frustration. You could see in his press conference, I feel.
Yeah, I agree.